Welcome to 6th grade health. This is for lesson 145, and this should be the end of your Monday. And so hopefully you are getting back into things today and getting that you had a good break over the over spring break, and we'll get right into health. Okay, so first of all, we're going to look at this chart of the skeletal system. Okay, so we have been looking at different types of bones and our skeletal system. We're going to look at how fitness works in with that, and then the different classifications of bones. Okay, so first of all, we're going to name them on the chart. So we're going to start with the head. What is this? Cranium, all right, and then fingertips. Phalanges, your long bones. Metacarpals, your wrist. Carpals, okay, and then we've got the radius and the ulna, and then your humerus, okay? So let's go over those one more time. These ones were phalanges, good job, and then these ones, metacarpals, all right? These ones? That's right, carpals. This bone, this one on the near the thumb is your radius. The other one, ulna, and then the long one, humerus, all right? And then the head again, cranium, all right. Okay, let's move on. What is this bone right here? Your collarbone is your clavicle, okay? And then behind there, behind your shoulder, scapula, good job. What about this bone right here? That's your sternum. And these ones here, your ribs or your rib cage, all right? What about a single one of these bones? Vertebra, okay? This bone right here, that one's your pelvis. Then the bone on top here is the sacrum, and then the one on the bottom, your tailbone, coccyx, okay? I don't know if you remember those yet, but okay. The long bone here, that one's your femur, and the kneecap there is your patella, okay? The bone that's on the back of the leg is your fibula. Bone that's on the front of your leg, tibia, okay? And then just for these ones down here, the ankle is your tarsal, and then the long foot bone is metatarsals, and then the toes, phalanges. All right, very good. Your body, God created you with 206 bones in your body, okay? And so with those bones, they're to help support and to protect your body. Some protect vital organs in your body. Some bones support it so that you can walk or move or do all sorts of stuff. And so in order for your bones to work properly, they have to be strong and they have to be healthy, okay? Otherwise, you will, if they're weak, then you're more susceptible to breaking a bone, okay? Now, I understand falling out of a tree, you're probably going to break a bone. Falling off the monkey bars, you're probably going to break a bone. Falling down the stairs, you might break a bone. So there are times, and it depends on how it's hit and how hard, and then there's other times where you fall and you're perfectly fine and you might be bruised, but you won't break a bone. But just know that just because someone breaks a bone does not mean that their bones were necessarily weak. It could have been a circumstance, an accident that caused that. So, but you don't want them to be weak and brittle. You don't want to be able to, or you don't want to have that, be worried about, you know, playing a sport because you might break a bone just by being out there. And so the bones that support your body in later years are susceptible to osteoporosis if you don't take good care of them. And that's through exercise and getting sufficient calcium. Okay. So you need to make sure that you're getting enough calcium and that you're exercising enough, and to help you when you get older. Okay. So now we're going to look at some classifications of bones. We've got long bones, short bones, flat bones, irregular bones, and then we've got some joints we're going to look at, but we're going to stick with those 4 options: long bones, short bones, flat bones, irregular bones. Okay, we're going to look at a couple different things about them. Long bones are found in your arms and legs, like your humerus, your radius, ulna, femur, tibia, fibula. They're important because they support your weight and work with your muscles to provide movement, okay? Also within these long bones, you will find marrow. It's a soft, fatty system of vessels that they produce new red blood cells that you need, about 2 million every second. And if those aren't working properly, or if there has been something like cancer in your body, then then your body is not producing the red blood cells that it needs. And in fact, they use a bone marrow transplant to help people who are undergoing cancer treatments. And that's one of the things that they use to help them. I believe Mr. Francis, who goes to our church, Morgan and Ryan, you'll know who that is. He had a bone marrow transplant, and that really helped him in his recovery from that. So those are our long bones. Short bones are usually nearly equal in length and width. So they're going to be the same distance this way, same distance this way. So they're going to be small. And you see the carpal, your wrist bone. It's like that. Your wrist bone is a short bone, okay? And your ankle as well. And they're to help with just to have like a connector between 2 parts of your body to where the joints can be, so that we move the way we do. and so that just helps with that. Flat bones are your ribs, scapula, your skull bones are all flat bones. And they usually protect the vital organs. That's what their main job is. And bones that don't easily fall into one of the other categories are classified as irregular bones, okay? So your facial bones are irregular, your vertebrae, and they protect and support your body structure. Because without the facial bones, our faces would be flat. Like flat. And we'd all have the same. It wouldn't look odd if everyone was like that, but if one person had a very flat face without bones to give it some definition, it would look very funny, right? So just helping you picture that in your head. But now we're going to look at some joints, and cartilage is what connects bones to joints, okay? Bones are connected to joints by cartilage. And cartilage is a tough, solid tissue. And joints are classified by the amount of movement they allow between bones. So I'm going to point this down a little bit because I want you to, if you can see them. We've got immovable joints, okay? Slightly immovable joints, slightly movable joints. I put that wrong, I'm sorry. Slightly movable joints. Let me erase the I am. And freely movable joints. And then there's some arthritis that has to do with joints. Okay, so first of all, immovable joints. Did you realize that there are joints in your head? There are joints in your skull. They go between the flat bones that make up your skull. You do not have one solid, it's not an actual solid bone. There's actually individual pieces of bone, but they do come together, but with the joints, and you see that, and the joints kind of just like, or it's kind of like a glue in between them. So they are together, but they're actually separate pieces of bone, okay? If you were to take that out, of course, but Anyway, so those are immovable joints. They do not move at all, which is good. There are joints that have slightly, they're limited movement, but they move slightly, and those are slightly movable joints. And the names of these joints are pretty self-explanatory, and it really helps. But the slightly movable joints would be like your vertebrae, because you are, especially like the lower vertebrae, they don't move as much, but you can bend over and they move some, okay? You could bend back a little bit, but those joints do not move as much as, say, your arms, okay? That's where your freely movable are the three types that we have looked at. I'm sorry, that was in 4th grade. I'm getting my classes mixed up because you're not here, and I can't remember who I've taught what. That's okay. We'll keep going. So these three, the 4th graders were just learning these. You have the ball and socket joint. That's like your arm and where your legs are attached to your hips. You've got pivot joints like your neck and also your elbow. That's cool because your elbow actually has 2 different joints in it. It has a pivot joint and a hinge joint, okay? And then fingers are good examples of hinge joints, okay? And so those are your different types of joints and where you would find them. If you force a joint against its normal range of movement, it could result in a sprain or dislocation, okay? So a sprain, like if you can sprain your wrist if you like land, if it's kind of, if you land on it sort of and like have it at an odd angle, it can like force that joint out of its normal range of motion. It can have a sprain. Shoulders can be dislocated. Your knee can be dislocated. There's different things that can be dislocated, and so you don't want, of course, most times that would be in an accident. It wouldn't be like you're like, oh, well, let me see if I can reach this thing way, way, way back here and all the way around and like stay right here. That's not what that's not typically how you would sprain or dislocate something. It would be from an accident, but that's what it is when that joint is forced out of its normal range of motion. And then joints are susceptible to arthritis, and it is a disease. It's a degenerative disease that breaks down the structure of the joints and causes inflammation and swelling, as well as a potential loss of movement. And so my mom has arthritis in her elbow. She dislocated it in high school, and every once in a while she'll get some pain in her elbow, and it'll be it's that arthritis that she has, and sometimes she can it hurts more when it rains, and that's a typical thing for people who have arthritis. But so just be aware that these things could happen, and But if you start now and you start taking care of yourself, and you are really diligent with this, and as you get older you keep up with it, then you can prevent some of these things from happening in your body, and which would be good for you. All right, so your homework is to read. So first of all, I want you to read pages 74 to 76. Okay. The homework is to reread pages 74 to 76. You're going to answer the quick check on page 76 on paper. There's 8 questions there. And then you're going to answer, as part of homework, CCU 4, A all, and B 1 through 5 on paper, okay? And the quick check could be on the same paper as long as you've got it labeled and it's neat. All right, I am going to let you go and have a good rest of your day. Hopefully this was your last class for today.